Hello and welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour, your weekly wander through the world of electric cars, brought to you by the team at electrifying.com. This week, we'll be chatting about efficiency, the misery of untraceable rattles. Is there anything quite like that? And of course, we'll be answering all your electric car questions and dipping into the postbag to find out what you've had to say about the world of electric cars. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Ginny.
And I'm Mike.
Just the two of us, Mike. Everybody else has gone on holiday. They're all on holiday. What's going on?
Someone's got to do the work, haven't they? Someone's got to stay behind. Mind you, you're going tomorrow, so this is hardly,
I am.
holiday-free zone, is it?
It's not. Finally, it's finally arrived. So I'm going to be driving for the next 2 weeks, nothing but an ATV.
What?
Because where I'm going doesn't have proper roads. So it's not going to be electric. So I'm sorry. I will be letting the side down. I have looked in case there were any electric options and there weren't. Yep. So yeah, that's it. I'll be walking or on an all-terrain vehicle. I'll tell you all well, hopefully I'll be back to tell you all about it in a few weeks. What have you been driving this week, Mike?
Well, I've been driving my own car this week, and I did the weekend. I did a cross-country half marathon real ale trail, which is basically a half marathon with 6 pubs in between, and you drink real ale in them, and then you end up in a campsite. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because I slept in the Enyaq. I decided I'm not going to. I hate camping at the best of times, and I don't want to put a tent up. So I thought the best thing I can do, aside from having a tent, is to sleep in the car. And I researched it. I looked up camping in an Enyaq 5, and it turns out there's a whole kind of sub-industry for sleeping in cars kind of thing. And I bought, it was a crappy Amazon thing. It was an SUV camping kit, which came with a sort of bolster thing that goes across the width of the car, which plugs the gap between the front seats and the back seats. And this kind of SUV style mattress that's kind of tapered at the back, so go around the wheel arches and everything, and that was it. I mean, it wasn't the best night's sleep I've ever had. I've had a lot better sleep than that, but there you go. Slept in the car.
But to be fair, I love camping. I absolutely love it. But the only time I ever get a good night's sleep is if I'm in a camper van. Because you just don't get a good night's sleep on a blow-up mattress on a hard ground. So actually, I think you're probably cool. Could you have blackout blinds? Did you? Because the light, that's what would get to me. Did you black out the windows?
No, this was the problem, because obviously I went to bed at night and it was dark. And then at sort of 5 o'clock in the morning, everybody was walking past to go to the chemical toilets and peering in and seeing me kind of like a body in the back of the car. But last year we had an ID Buzz cargo in, and I used that. But that was a whole nother load of problems, because he had this kind of sensory deprivation. I woke up thinking I'd been kidnapped.
What day is it? How long have I been here?
I mean, have you slept out? You look like the kind of person that might have woken up in a transit van in your youth, Jenny. Have you ever tried sleeping in a van? It's not a great experience.
I have been to Reading Festival with Tom Barnard and slept in a transit van.
Whoa!
With our Tom years ago. Random group. Well, that's a random story, isn't it? A few of us went to the Reading Festival a long time ago, and we had a transit van. And we had my mum and dad's camper van between a group of us. I know. There we go. So no, I have definitely woken up in the back of a transit van. Do you have pictures?
I do have pictures, and I'll put them. I'll send them to Dennis so we can put across this. But the worst part of the story is obviously I put the car back together again, and I've got a rattle. In fact, it's not. It's a squeak and a rattle. It's a squattle, I reckon, because it's. And you know that is there nothing more annoying in a car than a squeak or a rattle? I mean, I don't know if it's a bloke thing, whether it's just a me thing, but I've been in people's cars and I've said, does that not drive you mad? And they say, what? I said, that rattle. And they said, oh no, it's done that since I've had it. And it would just drive me insane. I wouldn't be able to get to the end of the road if it made that
It drives
noise.
me insane. Sometimes when you set off and the seatbelt in the passenger seat isn't quite the right, set right, and it rattles, I have to stop and pull over, even if I'm only going to the shops. It doesn't matter. I have to stop. I cannot deal with it. So have you found out what the rattle is? Did you bust a spring in the night, Mike? Were you getting a bit over energetic in the Enyaq camping vehicle? Not the Enyaq, the Enyaq.
No, there's none of that. I don't know what it is. It's probably like a teaspoon that I'm going to make my cup of tea with that's probably gone down the back of the seat or something. But the infuriating thing about rattles is you have to stop the car to get out. And of course, then it stops rattling. So you start shaking things thinking it must be that. So you kind of put a bit of tape or you put a wedge in something. Think that'll be it. You get to the next sort of manhole cover and then it sets it off again. So I think I'm going to offer a service when this is all over and we get found out for doing what we're doing. I'm going to set up a business that just goes to sorts people's car rattles out. I'm going to sit in the back with a roller tape and a bit and some foam and just cure. I think people would pay handsomely. I'd pay money for someone to sort that rattle out right now. It's
I just
infuriating.
worry that there aren't as many people out there that are as OCD as you and I, Mike, and that actually care about
no,
that. I think most people just turn the radio up.
I think they do. I don't think people really care too much about it. So maybe it's just if it does bother you and you're listening to this, you say yes. If you feel like you've taken off tight shoes listening to us saying yes, someone else gets it about rattles, then please let us know.
Do let us know. You can email us podcast@electrifying.com, or of course, if you are watching on YouTube, you can drop us a comment in the comments below, and we'll be coming to loads of your comments later in the show.
Oh, yes.
And actually, we've had comments about how much people like hearing everyone else's comments. So they're sort of, I think we might have to, at one point in the next few weeks, do a comments special where we'll literally just have a chat about the things that you've written into us about. I think we should do that coming up. But because I already just called your Ioniq an Enyaq, because of course, as you know, Enyaq is like the car that is always on my mind. Yeah, exactly. Obsessed with it. It's just sad. So sad. I have actually been driving one recently.
Oh, good.
I have been in the Enyaq coupe. Nice. I did a couple of long journeys in it, and we've talked on the podcast before about how VW they've made a bit of a leap, haven't they, in terms of efficiency with a number of their cars, thanks to a new drivetrain. And goodness me, that Enyaq coupe is efficient. So I mentioned that around, I think it was on last week's podcast, that around town I was getting about 350 miles of range out of it. On the motorway, it's sort of settled at about 290. So it's about 4 miles per kilowatt hour, and that's motorway driving. That's
pretty good for a big heavy car on a motorway. That's amazing.
It's pretty good. What wasn't so good was that I had cruise control set and traffic sign recognition, as I always do when I'm driving on the motorways, just to, it's a brilliant tool just to make sure you don't inadvertently go over the speed limit. And it kept telling me that there was a roundabout up ahead on the M6. And then it told me there was a junction, and it wanted to slow me down for that junction, so it did that. And then it told me that the speed limit was 50, and it slowed me down automatically for that as well. It obviously needs a software update. So I've had a chat to them at Skoda, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we must need a little software update. They'll sort all that out." But it's a bit weird. It was a bit of a strange one, and it was odd because it was only on the M6. It didn't do it on other motorways, so it must be something to do with the mapping of the M6.
Yeah,
I almost felt like what it was doing was, instead of reading the motorway, it was reading like the gantries that go across the motorway. Somehow.
Well, I mean, the traffic light recognition, I don't know whether it's only just picks up the kind of ones at the side or whether it does pick up the ones from the gantries. I don't know.
It was very strange. So it was I turned it off and it was completely fine. But yeah, have you had similar things where maybe your systems have just taken a dislike to one particular road? Because it was like the story that we talk about a lot with Nicola, wasn't it? And the car that she had, which her Dolphin.
Yeah.
Where, if somebody had painted slow horses and 20 miles an hour and it recognised that instead of actually recognising the official speed limit, which was 60.
Yeah. That's unfortunate, isn't it? I mean, it would have been comedy value to watch Nicola reacting to that. I mean, it's a shame there wasn't a camera in the car because
I'm sure we can organise for that to happen at some point. I am sure. Right. So, what else has been going on? What's been in the news? Grandland prices. We've got those out, haven't we?
Yeah, they came out today at time of recording. Yes, they come out today. So they're 41,000 new from the electric version, which they're £470 a month on Vauxhall's own PCP, which is 60 months. That's a long time, isn't it? I mean,
that's a long time for one.
It was, you always used to be 3 years, and then the kind of 48 months sort of appeared, and now 60 months. That's quite a long period, but it's a lot of money. But is it a lot of money if they're going to think that car's going to go up against ID4 and Enyaq and that kind of thing, which is kind of what it competes on in size and range? But it's just, I don't know. You said it earlier. It seems a lot of money for a Vauxhall, doesn't it?
I think that's my problem, is when I was having a look around just on our configurator earlier on electrifying.com, and I was just looking at the kind of stuff that you can get for, around that money. And I'm not sure that I would be going for a Vauxhall over some of the competition that's out there. And I know that we again, we'll say, we'll look at the finance deals, and often, as we've seen recently, great finance deals coming up on Vauxhall. But again, do you want to be locked in for that length of time? I'm not sure you do.
That's a really long
Personally,
time, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, no one's going to
and
know.
you think, no, and you think, that's. I mean, I hate to constantly mention the Skoda Enyaq, but it's Skoda Enyaq territory. It's, God, I don't know. It's Mini Countryman territory. It's, I don't know. I don't know for me if it warrants that price tag. I haven't seen it. I haven't driven it. It's only Nicola who's seen it at the moment, isn't it? So I think we probably do need to spend time with it. But you look at your car, Ioniq 5. What's that? Starts at about 40.
Yeah.
Don't know. Would you take a Vauxhall Grandland over your Ioniq 5? Maybe after the rattle you would, Mike. I don't know.
But aside from this, well, maybe it is because of this. How our perceptions of brands have changed. And you and I are both dinosaurs and been in the business long enough to think that, if we're having this discussion where we'd sooner take a Hyundai or a Skoda over a Vauxhall, if that had been put to us 20 years ago, we'd have said, especially we're talking at sort of 40, 50,000 pound mark, you would have thought you got rocks in your head, wouldn't you? But it's how brand perception has changed so much over the years.
Absolutely laughed. And I think it is electric that's done that. I mean, we see on the site, we know that people are looking at reviews of Audis and BMWs alongside a review of a Kia. So that whole thing of brand loyalty, I think, has really gone a lot with electric cars. I think we do some research on actually on the audience, on visitors to the site, and it was I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it was about 70% of people just didn't care where in the world their car came from or what brand it was from. They just wanted a good car at the right price for them, with the right range and efficiency. And I think the other thing for me that's shaken it up is, if you look at somebody like Kia, for example, or Hyundai, who were so early into this market. I mean, the Kia Soul, which is, I love the Kia Soul. It was one of the first. I love it. It's one of the first electric cars I drove. So it was pretty much after the Nissan Leaf. It was the Kia Soul. And I remember going out to drive a really early pre-production car in Korea of that. And I just loved it. But then you think they've got all that wealth of experience. So I think what's happened is these brands have just built themselves up as these leaders in electrification, which they are genuinely. And then you've got other much more established brands that are just getting a bit left by the wayside. We come back to this theme on the podcast such a lot. But yeah, you're right. The thought that a Skoda, I'd be recommending a Skoda over and above an Audi to people is unthinkable, really, even 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Your
right.
wry smile. Shall I just see if I can get through a whole episode of a podcast without talking about it next time?
Yeah, well, we will do, because you won't be here. So yeah, we will manage to talk about it without you talking about an Enyaq. We'll probably mention it, I'm sure.
Okay, fair point. Okay, do you know what? Has anybody out there got an Enyaq? It is podcast@electrifying.com, or in the comments below. Is there anything about the Enyaq you don't like? Come on, let us know. Let's just see if you drive one. Do you share my love for it, or is there anything that niggles you and drives you mad? Shall we move on?
Shall we move on? Well, we've got no Barnard this week, as you may have noticed. So, but fear not, because Barnard's Bargains has been replaced this week by Mike's Motors of the Week, because I've been trawling the classifieds, their own classifieds that are on electrifying.com / used cars, which is a big list of 22,000, I think it was at the last count, electric cars. So there's a very big database there. I mean, I've not done any PCP deals this week because, I'm an old-fashioned guy. I like cash. I like buying cars for cash. So these three I've found for you this week are absolute winners. Right. Volkswagen ID3, good car. 2020, if you bought one new now, it would cost you
pre-facelift.
Yeah,
that was pre-facelift though.
Very early car.
Yeah,
it would cost you 35 grand now. I found one with one previous owner. It's not been crashed. It's not a category N or S or N. It's none of that. It's HPI clear. £9,999, under 10 grand for an ID3. But there is a snag.
That is.
There's a slight
high mileage. High mileage by any chance?
102,000 miles. But
do you know what though? We're about to get in the Tesla Model S, which has done 1 million miles. That's coming in, isn't it? for
Yeah.
us to
So that's
poke and
chicken
prod
feed, isn't it?
around.
100,000 miles, barely run in by that standard. So anyway,
Uh,
but if that doesn't float your boat, which I'm sensing from your face isn't floating your boat, MG5
I
estate, you
mean,
like?
for the price, it would. For the price,
Yeah,
actually, I think it becomes very appealing. And I
yeah,
think I agree with you. If I talk to my dad about buying new cars, fool's game. Who would buy a new car? My dad has, I think he's bought one new car in his whole life, and he completely regretted it. So he is literally this is my dad's wheelhouse. He's the only person other than probably Tom and you that I know that looks at cars as much as he does. So I completely with you. I think sometimes this is where you pick up the bargains, isn't it? When
it
you've got
is. It
cold,
is.
hard cash.
Cold hard cash and a lot on high mileage. Right. MG5 estate, you like an MG5, don't you?
I do, and I think it's a solid, really solid car. That really useful.
Okay, I found
Go
a
on.
52 kilowatt hour one. So, nice, decent range.
Yeah,
8,300 quid. £8,300. That's not much, is it? 95,000 miles. But I think,
yeah,
a lot of people have used those for service vehicles. I know Cleveland used them for their remote servicing. And they love them. So, it might even be one of their old ones. I don't know. But there you go. So
yeah.
that's
Who
the
knows?
MG5. I've been trying to find the cheapest Tesla Model 3 I could find. I tried to find one that was under 10 grand. I failed miserably. But I have found one that's 11,800. Standard range plus, so a good amount of range you're going to get. One previous owner, all the buttons on it, 11,800. So under 12 grand for a Model 3. Again,
Wow,
there's a slight snag
wow.
on the mileage. This one's done 169,000 miles, but I wouldn't worry about it because if you read the Daily Mail and the other papers, you'll know that electric cars don't go far long distances or do high mileage. So presume it doesn't actually. It looks like it may have been a private hire vehicle. Should I put it that way? Looking at the inside
Yeah,
pictures, but there you go, 12 grand
it's
for a Model
it's a
3.
it's a great price, and I guess it's a serious question: is would buying an electric car with that mileage on, would it bother you? Would
Yeah,
would you would that would it bother you?
wouldn't
Would
bother
you
me.
buy
No.
it?
Yeah, I'll buy it.
No,
I would. Oh yeah, I'd
I
buy it.
don't
Yeah,
think I don't think it would bother me either. I really don't. Knowing what I know and with the experience that we've got, I don't think it would. Be interested to know though, if you're listening, do those kind of mileages for a used EV, are you cool about that? Is it something that would bother you? Because you wouldn't. You'd take a pragmatic approach if it was, a petrol engine with that level of range of mileage on, isn't it? It wouldn't stop you buying the car. And I
no,
don't think it should stop anyone buying an electric car, but we do know that is by far the biggest worry that people have about used electric cars, particularly if they're new to them. And I can see why that is a concern. But yeah,
yeah,
you've just got to step away from the Daily Mail, everybody. Back off slowly.
yeah,
It's not true.
exactly, exactly. I've got some buying questions for you, Jenny. Shall I start those?
Okay. All right, go
Come
on.
into us via podcast@electrifying.com. If you've got any kind of
Yeah.
buying queries, please let us know. Steve Jordan
Yeah.
says, I have a dilemma. I'm hoping to move to Spain in
Ooh.
around 2 years. Very nice. But want an EV in the short term. I'm thinking of three options. Option one, buy a second-hand EV, probably a 2022 MG4 and sell it before I move. Okay. Option two,
Yeah.
lease a car for 2 years. Option three,
Mm.
find a left-hand drive EV, in brackets, quite difficult, close bracket, so I
Ooh.
don't need to sell it, so I can take it with him. What would you go with? Thanks in advance, Steve.
Oh, that's a really
Hmm,
Gosh, they're three very different options,
they
aren't
are,
they?
aren't they?
Okay, so let's unpick. Let's go back. Let's start with you
Buying
buy
an
a left-hand
MG4.
drive.
Oh, buying left. Yes,
Well, no,
buying left-hand drive.
but
What do you want
buying
to do?
left-hand drive. I like the idea of buying the left-hand drive, and then you run it and you drive it over there, so you can load. Rather than you, I don't know how he's going to get to Spain when he goes to live there in 2 years. But I like the idea of him driving with all his stuff and a
Yeah,
roof rack. He gets there and then he uses it there. The challenges with that is, for some reason that I'm not entirely sure, I was looking at the electric vehicle sales across Europe recently because
yeah,
I obviously need to get out more on a Friday night.
do.
And I do. And I know that Spain is lagging behind on EV sales. Um, so if he was trying to buy a Spanish registered secondhand car, I don't think
Mm,
he's going to get the bargains that he would get here in the UK and perhaps in some other parts of Europe where the market is more mature.
yeah,
But I guess there's nothing to stop him from taking a look over in, France, northern France, where he could quite easily pick one up. And certainly markets like France and Germany are more ahead than Spain. So I think all of that, I mean, that's why we've seen really good prices now start to hit in the second-hand market here, that like the ones you were just talking about, is because we've had the big sales, volume sales over the last few years, and they're now starting to come through into the used market. So I think that's an interesting one. And I don't know, I quite like the idea of that. I like that idea. I think for me, that I don't know. Well, what do you think of the other one of the others? Go on, you take another one.
I agree with you. I think if you're going to move somewhere in 2 years' time, you're going to want a minimum hassle. You don't want to be buying a car and then selling it, or finishing a lease and making sure it's all been fixed and everything. So yeah, I mean, but I did a little bit of research before we came on, and you're right. There's not a lot. I found an old shape Hyundai Kona, 64 kilowatt hour, 18495 left-hand drive. That's one of those left-hand drive centres. I found an Enyaq left-hand drive, Ginny, for when you decided to live in Southern Europe. That was a 77 kilowatt hour one for 36k. And again, that was left-hand drive. But I also found a Dacia Spring. Somebody's selling a left-hand drive Dacia Spring already in Enfield.
Oh.
Enfield. So, I mean, it depends how many miles you want. I mean, that would be a long way to Spain.
I mean,
wouldn't it?
No, because I love the Dacia Spring, as you know, but that is not the car to load up with your life and your suitcases and, and go and start your new life in Spain, because you would literally be stopping to charge every couple of hours, wouldn't you? It's not built for that, let's face it.
Okay, well, we'll discount that.
I think we should discount that one. Obviously, I think the Enyaq is a great choice, but I also quite like the idea of having a look at some dealerships in northern France, in and around Calais.
That'd be the way to do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I reckon it would be. Okay. I think like you, I think to buy, and also the market is quite, obviously a lot of people have been stung by the drops that we've seen in the used car market recently with used EVs. It may go down again. The volumes are going to start increasing, every year, aren't they? So I wouldn't want him to get too stung by something and selling it in 2 years, and then there's all the hassle you've got of that as well. Yeah. And then I just think the lease is just a bit of a faff, and probably quite a bit of a more expensive option when you sort of add it out over the long run, because it's just dead money, isn't it?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
My vote goes for buy a left-hand drive and then have a nice road trip. Okay, lovely drive to Spain. Done.
Let's know how you get on. Yeah.
Okay, right. Let me have a look then. Where are we? What shall I take a car buying question? What's one of our
Patrick Harrison's one? Because you've got some intel on this one.
Oh yeah. Okay, Patrick Harrison. Can you answer a question about the Kia EV3? I watched a review that showed a white dashboard, and I could see reflecting back in the glass. I had to hold off buying the first shape Soul EV, as all I could see was a white dash reflecting in the windscreen. Is the EV3 going to be available with a dark dash? And if not, could we influence Kia to make that happen? Well, I'm going to Korea to see some things soon. Do some stuff soon. I am going to Korea soon. I'll have a word with them. I'll just tell them that if it's not there, they absolutely have to do it. This is terrible, because I should have looked up the answer to this before we start recording this podcast.
I think I looked it up. I think it's like a two-tone. Yeah, it's two-tone, isn't it? Because it's light on the bottom bit, and then the bit by where the vents and where it meets the windscreen, it looks dark. So
it does. And we can put some photographs on. Let me just hold the line, caller. Let me cast my mind back to the end of April in my trusty phone with all my photographs in, and see if I've got any more detailed shots. I know that there's a number of exterior choices. I'm just not sure about the interiors. And actually, it is white at the top. So yes, you're right. It's kind of got a white surround and bottom, and then the big screen that goes all across is dark. So whether there is a different option, I actually don't know the answer to that. But when I go to Korea next month, I'll have a chat with them and I will report back.
Yeah, just take Patrick's email with you and say, look, this is new. We need to sort that.
I'll take it with me.
I'm seeing one tonight because my dad's interested in buying one. So I've been suckered into going to the Kia EV3 experience, which I believe is still open and still ongoing, isn't it? You can join
Oh,
through.
they are still ongoing. I think. Can you sign up for them through our website? I don't know.
Oh, it's
I'm
funny you
sorry, I
should
should know
mention
the
that.
answer to
Yes, you
this.
can. Yes, you
Oh, okay.
can.
I genuinely didn't know the answer to that. You can. Is there a form or
If you
something on
can't,
there?
then we'll make sure you can by the time this goes live. But yeah, so it's one of those ones. It's going to be around a day. I think they've got 2 cars. They're touring the country. There's people who are interested in it and that kind of thing. So my dad's keen on buying one. So I'm going to go with him tonight and be a punter all night. Have some.
I absolutely love the thought of you rocking up at the Kia EV3 electric experience evening at your Kia dealership in Weymouth, is it potentially?
It's going to be in Christchurch, down the road.
In Christchurch.
Yeah.
Could you ask that? Are you going to ask them loads of really complicated questions to test them out? I'm
going to take Patrick's email with me. I'm going to say, "Oh, right, what are you going to do about this dashboard?"
Okay, so Patrick, I will be this time next week, hopefully on a beach with some kind of alcoholic beverage in one hand and a book in the other. But Mike will be here, tied to his desk, and he will report back on the full dashboard details for you,
Patrick. Yeah, don't worry.
After going to the Kia EV3 experience. Okay, good. I'm glad that's sorted. Brilliant.
Cool. Right.
What else have we got?
We've got some lovely comments. Packed post bag. I realise we're 26 minutes into this and we've only just got to the post bag. So we'll
rattle through some.
Cherry pick some of the best ones. I love this one. Kate Sampson via podcast at electrifying.com says, I recently took Mini of a Mini Electric and I love it. I've been obsessed with Minis since I first saw the Italian Job as a kid. Finally, after 30 years, I've been able to get one. The range is perfect for me and I wish I'd taken the decision to go electric earlier. And it got me thinking, Jenny, this comment. I was thinking there's quite a few people who, again, became obsessed with cars having seen them in films. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's, and it got me thinking, what's going to be the electric equivalent? I mean, and can you do the electric equivalent?
Oh yeah. I mean, what was the car that you got obsessed with? Because I got obsessed.
Same with Minis. Yeah, I was the Italian Job.
Mini.
Yeah, for sure.
Mine was the Beetle and Herbie. Do you remember Herbie?
So
Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. All of those.
A Love Bug. You could remake that. Well, you could do Herbie Goes in Search of a Working Rapid Charger. You could do Herbie. You could do Herbie, the Love Bug. It could be Herbie the Infotainment Bug. You could do.
Herbie the and well, it was Suit VW, obviously. Brilliant, of course.
Yeah.
What have we had an electric car in a movie yet?
I don't
think we have.
I've seen them in TV shows, but you always kind of have this kind of slight feeling of dread when they appear in TV shows because they usually, you think this is going to be part of the storyline. It's going to run out of charge. And almost every time it does. And you kind of think, it's so annoying.
But I'll tell you what I can see. I could see something like the Cyberster in a really good movie in a car chase.
Yes, that would
That's what we need. That would work. We need some EV car chases. Yeah. With also some of those synthetic sounds blasting out.
This is what Hollywood would do, though, wouldn't it? They'd just put this sort of, they'd put sort of a V8 soundtrack over them, wouldn't they? Because it's what people want to hear.
Well, anyway, Kate, I'm absolutely thrilled. What a brilliant choice. And I'm so happy that you have finally made it into one. And also that it's electric. So I think if any car has suited that switch to being electric to electric powertrain, it's the Mini. It just suits it so much, doesn't it? I love driving an electric Mini. So brilliant. I actually really like the one from Stephen Parrott, who also sent us an email podcast at electrifying.com. He said, I love the pod, but it has affected my park run 5K time. I thought you could relate to this one, Mike.
I can relate to this, sure.
Mr. Park Run. I always like to listen to the end, and because recent episodes have been around 40 minutes, I've had to run slowly. To be clear, I'm happy doing this, but I feel less fit than I did a few months ago. Stephen, we're going to make sure that we don't finish any later than 36 minutes today. What do you reckon? Can we do that, Mike? Can we keep it at 36 minutes?
If he's hearing this thinking he's on a park run and it's going to be the normal 40-minute, he's probably going to be, how far are we in? 29 minutes. So he's probably going to be about 4.5
29 minutes. Right, you need to pick your speed up now, Stephen, if you're listening. That's it. Just get a shift on for that last bit of the run, because we're only going to give you another 6 minutes. Okay, let's move on. Come on, Stephen. We've got faith in you. Run, Stephen, run.
Excellent. And we were also talking about last week that it's kind of guilty pleasures seems to run on for a couple of weeks now. BMW HP2, friend of the show, often messages a favourite time of the week. Long time guilty pleasure is the Volkswagen. This is going to mean a lot to a lot of people, but it will mean something to you. The VW 181 Kubelwagen, aka the Thing. He said we had 3, and after we bought the Citroen EC3 Max, we will probably go to Germany and buy a 4th. I mean, most people won't know what that car is, but you've got very fond memories of a Kubelwagen, haven't you?
I have it, also known as the Trekker, the VW Trekker.
About 6 names.
Because this was the car of many names. It had a different name in Mexico, I seem to remember as well, but I can't remember what that was. Oh my, I used to love this car. It was, so bearing in mind, I grew this. So this is, we'll put a picture of one up. Hopefully Manos will find one and Manos will put one up. But it was basically, it's built for life on, well, it's a bit military looking, built for life on the sand dunes, had a windscreen that folded down. Ours was bright yellow. And we lived in Rochdale in the north of England where it rained a lot. It was completely inappropriate family car. And it wasn't our main car. My main car at that time was my dad's VW twin cab pickup. So that was our daily driver, his work van. And then this is my dad. So I mean, hiya, Dad. I hope you're listening, Dad. I love cars because of my dad, and my dad has had some weird and wonderful ones over the years. And the Trekker was definitely one of his weirdest and most wonderful. And I think it was probably one of the cars that really got me just loving cars and how fun and quirky they could be. So yeah, I completely share your passion for that, because we ran one as a family car. I used to love it when he dropped me off at school in it. I just used to think it was such a cool thing. Completely impractical for living in Rochdale, but it was a nice thing.
Excellent. I love it.
It was good. Let me just go back to Dewar MC. Tom and Mike doing reviews from the back seat. The car they're reviewing would be a great idea. Also, for those of you who remember, casting our mind back here again, they may even morph into the Stadler and Waldorf of the Electrifying team.
Right. Can we block
You already
on YouTube? Are we allowed to do that? That's fine.
No, we can't. Aren't you already that, you two?
Well, we're two. Yeah, someone said last week that we were two just grumpy old men sitting in the back seat of a car, which is probably quite a good description. But that's that's what it is, isn't it? I mean,
on a serious note, it had such lovely comments and so much love for that podcast. And it is a bit harder to do because we're not always in the same place. But we are going to try and do more of those. And I think that whole getting in the car, I think the challenge will be, can we do the 3 of us in the back seat? That'll be an interesting challenge to do.
That'll mess with Manos's head. The 3 other people.
We'll do another one. Oh, Manos. Should we, on the subject of Manos?
Yes.
Did we get emails in about Manos? We did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mark Bennett, 6658.
Yeah.
Go on.
He said, I get Manos and his Jeep Avenger obsession. It's in too good of English to be Manos writing this, so I know it can't be him. He said, I get Manos and his Jeep Avenger obsession. To me, it looks like a proper designer has taken a Jeep Renegade and resolved its hideous appearance to the point where they've turned an ugly duckling into a beautiful swan. So there you go.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, maybe both Mark Bennett 6658 and Manos are both on the same page. They're seeing a beautiful swan when they see that. So good. I mean, this is, everybody likes what they like, don't they? Which is a good thing. If we all like the same thing.
Well, I liked a VW Trekker, and in fact, do you know what? I'd love to get one of those back, electric. That would be a cool car to convert to electric. And there are certain cars that I think about from the past and think, oh, I'd love an electric version of that.
Yeah,
Tom, have you got anything that you would love to?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn for Tom, but Tom would like a Citroen Mahari, which is almost Citroen's version of that car. It was kind of like that and the Mini Moke, all the kind of 3, totally unsuitable for British climate kind of cars. But I imagine they'd be very.
And this is the thing I wish Land Rover was doing. And have I told you the story when I was given a sneak peek of a Land Rover design that never saw the light of day? I don't know if I told you that.
Yeah, you did.
About 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
So about 6-7 years ago, I was taken to their design studio and shown lots of things in clay models, and they had a pretty good model. It was fairly advanced of something along those lines. It was a bit like a really cool, beach buggy, stripped back down, bit more of a Wrangler kind of thing. It was fabulous. And it's kind of gone by the wayside, as I understand. I've never seen or heard anything of it again. And I do think there is, like we've been waiting ages for these kind of MX-5e, small electric sports car. I think that's another area that would be great to see. Some of these sort of lighter, like a Jimny, an electric
Yeah.
Jimny. I think that's another side of the market that I would love to see cars like that become electrified.
Yeah, because I mean, we've been promised this kind of electric skateboard platform, which is going to be a whole new world of coach building, isn't it? It's basically because the bottom bit's always going to be the same, and you can build the most sort of elaborate, relatively cost-effective top bits for it. And we haven't really kind of seen that
Yeah.
yet. I think manufacturers are just kind of got to work out how they're going to pay the bills at the moment with electric, and I think after that,
Yeah.
we're going to start to see more
Yeah.
variants.
I've had hinted to me heavily that VW down the line in their product planning have got something along those lines coming up that's electric, that is a bit more like that and is quite fun, very much aimed at that sort of California market. So I think we will see it, but as you say, it's more about making the numbers crunch at the minute, isn't it? Right, we're up to 35 minutes 50. How's Stephen doing on his run? Come on,
I
Stephen, you
can
got
see that
this. You got this.
he can hear them finishing, so I think he must be getting close. Yeah,
Okay,
36 minutes, we're bang on it. So there we go. We should probably.
brilliant.
Do you want to do any more comments, or should we've got so many. I think maybe we need to do a reader special, don't we?
I think we will, yeah, definitely. Let's do that. Either you guys do it over the next few weeks, or when I come back,
Okay.
let's do a reader special. Wish me luck for my unmade roads and my ATV.
Yeah, be careful. There's dangerous
Over the,
things they are. So be
I
sensible.
will be
Okay.
absolutely careful. I will be careful. Have a fantastic couple of weeks, everybody. Thank you as always for listening to the Kilowatt Half Hour. You've been listening to Ginny and to Mike this week. And if you aren't already, please do subscribe. I won't be back next week, but Mike will be, along with Mr. Barnard, probably.
Yep.
And you will be safe in their hands for a few weeks. Take care, everybody.